Lesson P.4 is officially lines in the plane. A lot of old review again. Slope, slope-intercept, point slope, all these different pieces that they're in your brains. We just have to dig them out. Okay? So let's start with slope. What do you guys remember about slope? What letter represents slope?
M.
M. Okay. One expression here, the triangle y over triangle x is delta y over delta x. Delta meaning change. Okay. Delta being a Greek letter there. So it's change in y over change in x. You guys probably for slope more often think y minus y over x minus x, where it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Excuse me. What's the other phrase we think for slope? Now, hold that thought just for slope. Really? Yeah. Rise over run? We talk slope, we often talk rise over run. I'm just trying to bring all the pieces back to your brains here.
That piece was not.
That piece was missing. Okay, so example 1, when we find the slope through the 2 points. If you're given a picture, I would rise over run. Since we're not given a picture, I would use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And what's the order in an ordered pair always? xy, x comma y every time. So, in order to do my slope, on top, subtract your y's. Which way do you want to go with those? You could go either way, technically, and I know some of you don't like that, but you could say, actually, if this was me, I would probably say 2 minus negative 2, just because I tend to start with the positive y. Now, if you didn't, and you did negative 2 minus 2, that's fine. Meet me here in a moment, okay? But for me, since I did 2 minus negative 2, what must I do on the bottom? Negative 1 minus 4. So in doing this, for me, 2 minus negative 2 is 4. Negative 1 minus 4 is negative 5. I end up with 4 over negative 5, which is negative 4/5. If you did your points the other way, the only difference is you got negative 4 and positive 5, correct? Do we have the same answer? We do. Okay, so as long as you get negative 4/5 there somewhere, we're good. Okay, try B real quick. For B, y minus y over x minus x, what are you going to do for y's? What? Okay, so what numbers am I subtracting there on top?
4.
Yeah, 4 and 1. So if I say 4 minus 1 on top, on bottom I'm saying 3 minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2. Leave it in proper, of course, 3 halves. That better be coming back to you. I feel like that's a threat there, but come on, guys, it's slope. You've been doing this since Algebra 1, maybe even pre-algebra. Who knows? This next section has forms of equations of lines. Now, I will say, general form's probably not familiar to you. We haven't really done anything with general form of ax plus by plus c equals 0. However, the next two should be very familiar. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m stands for your slope, and b represents your y-intercept. Okay? Point slope form, we used that one. My morning class was saying we used it last year quite a bit in algebra. Okay? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m, of course, is your slope, and x1, y1 represents a point. And then the bottom two there, vertical line, that's just kind of reminding you that x equals a number is your vertical line. horizontal line is always y equals a number. And one other one that's not listed here. Do you remember standard form? That's the other one I need to mention. Standard form being ax plus by equals c. Not really working with that one much today, other than they give it to us, but we're not going to have to do anything with that one. Again, it's just kind of a reminder of, hey, it's out there. So, example 2 here. The directions read, use the point slope form to find an equation of the line that passes through the point -3, -4, and has slope 2. Okay, well, what is point slope form? Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. What's our m value? It's going to be 2. And then -3, -4, those are going to go in place of x1, y1. So my -3 and -4 there. So y minus your y value of -4 is equal to 2 times x minus your x value of -3. Of course, I kind of wrote it, the long way out, but minus a negative, you are well aware, is plus. So y plus 4 equals 2 times x plus 3. And it didn't say what form to leave this in. It just said use point slope form to find the equation. Does that mean I could possibly leave it like this? Yeah. Nothing says you couldn't change it to slope-intercept form. How would we get to slope-intercept form here? We need to distribute the 2 and move the 4 over so it'd be in y equals form. Familiar-ish? Okay, should be. Example 3 wants us to write an equation of a line with slope 3 that passes through the point -1, 6 using slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Slope 3, so 3 is my m value, and -1, 6, those are going to represent an x value and a y value. Officially, I went with this morning, or officially it says using slope-intercept form, doesn't it? So if we wanted to just strictly use slope-intercept form, do you remember how this works? We know m, but do we know b? No. So we can use this x, y, and m to fill in so we can find b. So in place of y, I can say 6 equals m, which is 3, times x, which is -1, plus b. And I can use this method to find b. Been a bit, but you've done this before. So 6 equals -3 plus b. To get b by itself, I'm going to add 3, so b is 9. They asked me for slope-intercept form, so y equals mx, so 3x plus b plus 9. Could you have also done this with point slope form? Yeah. Okay. And as long as you end up in slope-intercept form, it would work. Okay, example 4. This is why I want to hopefully have a few minutes here. Example 4 is draw the graph of this set equation, but it suggests using a graphing calculator. Now, in all honesty, it's not a difficult graph. We don't really have to use a graphing calculator. However, it's an opportunity for me to introduce the graphing calculator a little bit, isn't it? So, do we happen to have them with us? Maybe, hopefully. Good day then. Okay, so now here's the deal. To graph an equation though, your graphing calculator will not let you just type in anything you want to graph it. It has to be in the form y equals. You can't punch it into a calculator until it's y equals. So sometimes that's the harder part, is getting it to be y equals. So let's go ahead and solve this equation to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 2x. 3y equals, I personally would say negative 2x plus 6. To get y by itself, we're going to divide by 3. And that means we're dividing everybody by 3, yes? So one option would be say y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. Now, in all honesty, though, once we've gone that far, do we even really need to graph it on the calculator? No, but I can still introduce it. In all honesty, to graph it on the calculator, you also could have left it as negative 2x plus 6 all over 3. This is more of our typical one, though. So, grab your calculators. And as you grab the calculators, in order to graph something, you first have to go to the y equals screen. So the y equals screen, there's a y equals button up here on the left, and we're going to go to that. Now, when you go to that y equals screen, there's going to be a whole bunch of y equals there, right? So we can type in multiple equations at the same time. We only really, need one here, and you have to type it in. Now, of course, ours even has a fraction, so we get to experiment a lot here. First of all, it's a negative, yes? Okay, these calculators are very particular in that a negative is not the same thing as a minus. I know a lot of times I think of them as the same, but if you start with a minus sign, it's gonna tell you there's an error. So we need to start with a negative. Where's the negative on the calculator? Have you spotted it? It's right underneath the 3. So I'm going to start with a negative. Now, options for doing that fraction. Well, what is a fraction, really? It's division, yes? Not ideal. It's not what I'm going to encourage long term, but you'd have to put it in parentheses to get this to work. So you can do parentheses 2 divided by 3. And again, I'm going to show you a better fraction thing here in a moment, but this will work in just this case. Now, after this, we need a variable. Have you found your variable? The variable button I want you using, that's usually what we need, is this button right here next to alpha that says xt theta in. That's the button you want to use to get your x. And notice, since we're in this yx mode, it's going to type x. And then what are we doing? Plus 2. Once you've got that equation typed in, you now just need to hit the graph button. We hit the graph button. You should get a graph that looks somewhat like mine. Owen, are you finding a place to type in an equation somewhere?
Yeah, I've got the left part, I just haven't gotten to the graph.
Okay, so keep working at it. Because I know your directions are going to be totally different from mine usually, but listen to some of the words and things I say to look for because it's going to be the same things, just different setup on yours, okay? Now, those of you using the TIs, can I show you a different way to put the fraction in? Because honestly, that wasn't the pretty way. And all of you guys have the color calculators, so the more updated ones, don't you? Okay, so if you go back to the y equals screen, you can go back and forth all the time. First of all, I can arrow down to the next place and put another equation in. start with your negative sign, and I'm going to show you where to get a fraction bar, because that's your best bet. So, fraction bar, see my alpha button? That alpha button is just kind of a shortcut. It's kind of like a second function button. But if I hit alpha, notice it flashes an A, and then I go up here to the F1 menu, which F1 is the y equals button. And it gives me some fraction options. I just want number 1 there. It says n over d, numerator, denominator. If I hit enter, notice what did it just bring up for me? It just brought a fraction bar up for me. So I can do 2 over 3. And then I can arrow out of there. I can put the x after it and the plus 2. Okay? And then when I hit graph, what it will do is it'll graph that graph over the other graph that's already there. So it'll look like you just have one. Yes?
Found a piece of that.
To do a fraction bar?
They have the
If you
alpha.
He's
list
got the
thing.
you hit alpha and you get the X key over one.
Yeah, they have the new one.
That's not on my calculator though.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it's not on mine either.
No, that's the Python calculators that have that. So some of you might have it. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you get
Gabe's would be older, Elena's would be older, mine would be older. But right there, you have. Yeah, see, mine doesn't have, although you don't have yours. Yours doesn't say it on it. I just know it doesn't work on all calculators, so.
How do you change yours to like that? So, because mine just looks like the division sign. It's just bolded.
We'll go into the Y. Well, your calculator could be an update because your calculator is older. Even though you did.
Yeah, I did that.
Interesting. We might try updating it sometime.
Because the alpha you have is green. Everything looks green. But mine's the alpha. I know how it goes. Really? Yeah. Yours? There's nothing green.
Well, if that is an older function, an older like
That's like a
operating
basic
system
rate.
essentially.
Because like the
If we
new ones I
update it,
see,
we might be
they all
able. So I
have
might be able.
interaction.
I
So
can
it's
use my calculator to connect to Flora's update,
Yeah.
and so
false advertising.
yeah, because I don't
There's
know
like a
why.
list of weird.
I don't know if there's a way to change that or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've been trying to figure out because it just sometimes confuses me.
No, I get it, and we can definitely look at that and see.
I can zoom.
Okay.
Go.
When it says graphic, guys, you know, when you're using your graphing calculator, you're graphing it there, but you should always sketch it. Okay, you should always sketch it somewhere else then. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think my alpha buttons. Because you said alpha and the XT theta in, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
what happened? Like Gabe says in misprint because Addis has.
Yeah, usually they have
fraction thing. Mine doesn't. So I'm thinking I can sue them, get $80 million because they messed up my calculator.
Now, is that a new one or is that Daryl's?
Most brand new.
Brand new.
From Staples.
Okay, yeah, because it's a newer function. So I've seen it on calculators. It just isn't on mine. Okay, guys, I just looked at the time. We need to talk real quick about parallel and perpendicular. Now, I will tell you, I'm not doing example 7. And I don't think, unless I forgot to take it out of the homework, I don't think you have anything like it. I don't know. I'll help you through if there's something like example 7 homework. Example 5 and 6. Parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal. What does it mean to be opposite reciprocal? Opposite reciprocal of 1/2. The reciprocal of 1 over 2 is 2 over 1, and the reciprocal and the opposite means negative. So, focus up here, please. I am out of time. 1/2 and -2 are opposite reciprocals. So kind of remember that. These examples here just focus on, okay, they give me a point. They want us to write it parallel to the line, and they give me a line here. In order to write something parallel to that line, what do I have to know about that line?
It's slope.
The slope. How do I find that slope? You're going to have to solve for y. So that's often the first step here. So if I subtract 3x, -2y is equal to -3x plus 1. And then I'm going to divide by -2. So then I end up with y equals please remember a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So 3/2 x minus 1/2. What's important to notice here? Slope of 3/2. Were we also given a point? And it's parallel. So what slope do we use? 3/2. If we needed perpendicular, we'd have to do the opposite reciprocal. So how do I write the line? Well, can we use point slope? Y minus y1. So y minus -2 equals 3/2 times x minus 1. Okay? This is y plus 2. If you distribute, it's 3/2 x minus 3/2. It doesn't say what form, but if we go for slope-intercept, subtract 2, and y is equal to 3/2 x minus, I think it's 7/2. Perpendicular is the same way, guys, okay? Here's what I want you to do for tomorrow. Yes, I want you to do your homework, okay? Because I'm trying to stay on track for that quiz on Friday. So do the homework. Obviously, if there's some issues I need to help with parallel perpendicular we walk in tomorrow, I will obviously do that. I don't think there's anything like example 7, but if I forgot there is, I'll help.
So it's not it's just
Yes, it is. Yeah, do the homework that's on the board, and then we'll take questions tomorrow, and then I'll also have your quiz review worksheet handed out tomorrow. Got it? We don't have to come in and do notes tomorrow, so I'll be able to make sure we get all questions answered. Other than that, have a good day. Just gonna write the homework in here real quick. Page 36. 3 through 6. 11 through 14. 21 through 30. 42, 44, and 45.